Hello everyone, welcome back again to my channel. My name is Abimbola Olushola. So in our previous tutorial, I took us through the step-by-step process on how we can actually draft this transparent inbuilt cupped corset with a zipper. So in today's tutorial, I'll be taking us through the sewing process of this transparent inbuilt corset, how you can go about attaching your boning to the tool net, how you can attach your zipper, and all that detailed procedure in achieving this inbuilt transparent corset. So if this is what you would like to learn, kindly stay to the end of this tutorial. And to all my subscribers, I want to say a very big thank you for subscribing to this channel. Thank you so much for subscribing. And to everyone who is yet to subscribe, kindly take 2 seconds to 3 seconds out of your time to hit on the subscribe button and subscribe to this channel. Also do well to turn on your notification bell so that whenever I post a new tutorial, you will be among the first to be notified. So from our draft, we have all our tool already cut out. This is the back, the part for the inbuilt corset, and also the part for the zipper. So I'll be starting with this center back, the one for the zipper. So you remember that previously when we drafted this back, we actually used the normal waist divided by 4. We also added 1 inch for the side seam and ½ inch at the center back for the zipper. Now for this particular zipper, to avoid bulging and having like a wave at the back for the zipper, what we need to do is to go ahead and divide our waist by 4. So what I have here is the waist divided by 4, which is 10. Now from the ½ inch at the center back, yes, the ½ inch we added for our zipper at the center back, we are going to go ahead now and measure our waist. So I'll go ahead and measure 10, exactly the waist divided by 4. I will mark that, and once that is marked, I will then connect it back to the 1 inch allowance on the hip line, and also to the 1 inch on the chest line. Let me take that again. Our exact waist divided by 4 will be taken at the waistline, and then we would connect it back to our 1 inch sewing allowance at the chest line and also at the hip line. So it is only at the waist that we are using this exact measurement. Other parts, we have the 1 inch for the sewing allowance. So I'll go ahead now and trim that part off. Yeah, and so this is what I am doing. Trim off the excess that we have at the waist. So our exact waist, we actually serve the purpose for our 1 inch sewing allowance and also the zipper allowance at the center back. I hope we understand this part. So now that that is done, I will match up the inbuilt corset part also together to the zipper part. I will ensure they both match up at the side. If you're on the slim side, you can actually take off the 1 inch at the hip area, that's at the blouse length. Yes, you can take off that 1 inch, but for the one at the chest line, leave the 1 inch at the chest line, but you can take the one off on the blouse length and also the one at the waist for the center back. So now I have my back piece ready. I have my other tool also ready, the front, the yoke, the cup, everything all prepared. So now let's get to the sewing machine to couple the bodies together. So for the boning, I'm using Regiline bone, that's the sewable bone, and to cover it up, to wrap it up, I'll be making use of a crepe fabric, and this is the long strip of the crepe fabric cut out to wrap up our boning. I have a separate tutorial on my channel where I showed how you can wrap your boning. So as not to make this sewing process so long, I won't be taking us through that process here. So you can check the link in the description box on how to wrap up your bones. So after wrapping my bones, this is what I have. This is what the long strip I showed us earlier gave us. So here is the underbust part of our front pattern cut on fold. And for this particular piece, I actually cut out 5 layers of 2 net. So for the 5 layers which I cut out for this front piece, we will be making use of 3 layers as the main bodice. Then the other remaining 2 layers will be used as overlay after attaching our boning. I hope we understand. 2 layers will be used as the overlay, 3 layers will be used for the main bodies. So this is 3 layers in which I've gone ahead to pin, and this is the 2 layers I'm putting aside. So what you need to do first is properly arrange your 3 layers of 2 net and then ensure that you properly pin it down. Now my 2 net is properly pinned. So I'll go ahead and locate our middle point there. That's the center front, and we'll go ahead and mark a straight line on that part. We are already creating our boning channel. So for my boning channel, after drawing out the first straight line at the center front, I went ahead to take 2.5 inches from that line and 2 inches at the hem, and then I marked out my straight line. Then from the second line, another 2.5, and at the hem, 2 inches, and then marked my straight line. And then on the side, I also went ahead to mark out my line for the boning. I also repeat the same process on the other side of my 2 net, and also create a side channel for the boning. Yes, so I've gone ahead to mark out all the points, and here we proceed to the sewing machine. So I have my 3 layers of tulle that is pinned down, and I also have my wrapped Regiline bones. So I'll start from the middle, that's the center front. I'll place my bone like so. Now at the middle points, come down by 0.5 inches. Don't start sewing your bones from the very top. Come down by 0.5 inches, and following through the straight line that we marked, I will sew down my bones like so from the top to the end of the 2 nets. Now this same process will be repeated on all the other boning lines that we created. The only difference here is that for the middle, that's the one at the center, we came down by 0.5 inches. But for all the other boning channels that we marked out, we won't be coming down by 0.5 inches. We would actually be starting from the very point where the line starts from. Yes, from the very point where the line started from. So the next one, I would also place my Regiline bone on that line that was marked, and I will start from the very top and run my stitches straight down to the end of this tool. This process will be repeated on all the boning lines that we created, and then I'll show us what we have at the end. So now we are almost done sewing up all our boning channel. The next part now is the part for our bust bridge. So I'll go ahead now and I'll place our wrapped bone on the bust bridge like so. I'll also leave out that 0.5 inches we initially left when we started sewing the first bone line. Yeah, so I'll sew down our boning on that part like so. I'll also leave out that 0.5 inches I left when we were sewing the first bone. So I placed the one across, that's the one for the bust bridge across. I placed it at the very tip of the first one that we sewed. So that one is going to cover the first one that we initially sewed. I think we can see that part. It has to cover up the first one, and we also have to leave out that 0.5 inches. Yes, so I'll sew it down on the other side also. So now I went ahead to create more boning channels for this transparent corset. So this is me creating more boning channels for the front bodies. So I sew through and create others as well. So you can create as many boning channels as you want for the two that you are working with. You can create as many boning channels as you want. So now I'm done creating all the boning channels that we want for the front, and this is what we have at the end of the day. This is what the back looks like, and this is what we have achieved so far for the front on the bust area of the transparent corset. So yes, we can see now that all the boning channels are ready, and on one side, that's the right side of our tool net, I went ahead to place our bone. Yes, you can see that. So I would also show us what I did, how I did that. So for that part, remember that we have 1 inch as the side seam allowance to join our front and our back together. So you need to put that into consideration, and then you actually leave that 1 inch part for your sewing. Then you also place your bone on the boning channel. You place it such that it cover up the one that is already there. So you place it like so, and then sew it across to the other side like so. Please ensure that you leave that sewing allowance, the 1 inch, you leave that part out so that at the end of the day you don't have this bone poking your clients. Yes, so leave that part out. And so we are done sewing that part. I'll go ahead now and sew it down on the other part too, so we have it secured. So this is what we have after sewing down that part. So next we have the 2 layers left for the overlay for the front on the bust area. So this is the one we worked on, and then this is the remaining 2 layers I already pinned down. So these 2 layers, like I said, is going to serve as the overlay for this transparent corset, and it's going to give that illusion effect for this transparent corset. So what I will do now is placing it on the tool, and then I'll flip it over to the back. Yes, I'll flip it over. So remember that when we were sewing the side, I asked us to leave 0.5 inches at the top. This is the reason for doing that. So we are going to pin down, that is 0.5 inches at the top. That's for the overlay, and also the one with the bone. We'll pin them together at the side. Also pin them together at the center. Yes, remember our bust bridge. Yeah, we are going to pin them together, the overlay and the one with the bone. We pin them together at the center, and also we are going to pin them together at the other side of our transparent corset. Yes, so we are pinning down at 3 points, the 2 sides, and also at the center. So this is the connection, the overlay, and the main under bust with the boning channel. This is the connection they have together. That is the part where they are connected together first. Now that we have it pinned down, I'll take it to the sewing machine and sew it. I'll sew it down across like so. The side, the bust bridge area, and the other side, I'll sew down that ½ inch that we left. I'll sew them down like so. Once you're done sewing, ensure that you trim off the excess you have at the top. Yes, ensure that you trim off that excess that you have at that area. So go ahead, trim it off, and so you have a neat work. Yeah. So now after sewing it, this is what we have. Now I will flip it back. Yeah, this is the 3 points, and this is what we have. Then I'll flip the 2 layers back to the front. Yeah, so we have this overlay covering up our boning and giving it that illusion that we actually want. So what I will do now is to pin down both the overlay and also the one with the bone together. Working with tool will actually test your patience, so take your time to ensure that you properly pin down the tool, pin them down together, as much pin as you want, as much pin as you need to secure them down. Please ensure you pin down your tool net, secure it properly so that you don't have one side folding or one side in and another side out. Just ensure that you properly pin them down together, and that is what you see me doing here. So now I'm done pinning. I will now sew down our cup area. Yes, I will take it to the sewing machine and sew down the cup area so that we don't have any shifts once we want to attach our cup to the two nets. So this is exactly what I'm doing here. I'm sewing down the cup area here like so. I'm also going to do the same on the other side of the cup here. And now I'm done sewing the two parts, and this is what we have after sewing. So now I'll trim off a little out of what we have there, because the two nets are not actually all aligning together. So I'll trim off so that we have a neat curve to work with. And also remember that on the bust bridge we have 1 inch for that bust bridge, and then we also have half inch on both sides to join the cup to the cup area of the transparent corset. I'll also go ahead to do the same on the other side. I will also trim off what we have there. So this is it after trimming. Yeah, this is what we have. Now the next thing is to attach our cup to the corset bodice. So I've gone ahead to prepare the cup. The ready-made cup has been covered up. If you don't know how to do this, I have a detailed tutorial on my channel where I showed how to go about covering up your ready-made cup. So you can do well to use the link in the description to access this tutorial for the ready-made cup preparation. So this is the one I am working with first, and also this is the lining for the two cups. I've gone ahead to prepare that as well. This is also on the tutorial. You will learn all of the process that you need to achieve this on the detailed tutorial on the channel. So I'll go ahead now to trim off the excess I have so that I can have exactly ½ inch around my cup. So now I would go ahead to pin down the cup to the underbust area of this. And what you need to do is to ensure that you have ½ inch left at the top. So that part will be used to attach your lining to the cup. Ensure that you leave ½ inch at the top. Then you pin down the cup to the underbust bodice. So take your time, pin it down properly, ensure that you pin it down so that you don't have excess on any part left out. That's the essence of pinning, and after pinning down, this is what the front should look like. So I'll go ahead now and sew it down and show us what we have after sewing. So now I'm done attaching the cup, and the next thing now is to attach our lining to cover up the cup. This is what our lining looks like. So the ½ inch we actually left at the top is for the lining to match up the lining and the cup together. So I'll pin that part down, and then I'll run my stitch along that part to secure the cup and the lining together. So now go ahead to sew down the lining and the cup with ½ inch at the top. So we are done doing that. So I've gone ahead to flip my lining over to the other side, and then the lining will be used to cover up our stitches just the way I'm placing it, like that. I'll go ahead now and pin down like that, and then also secure the other side using the lining to cover up the stitch and also pinning it down. So after doing that, this is what I have, and this is it. So we have two options here, either to untack our lining to the bodies or to sew it on the sewing machine. Yeah, we would actually turn our bodies over like this and then run the stitch round, or untack the lining to the corset bodies. So for me, what I did was to untack the lining to cover up the stitches like so. So after sewing my cup, this is what we have for the front. So we proceed to the back now. For the back, we are starting with the inbuilt corset part, and then the first thing we will do is to take our the part for the lacing bar. Now this lacing bar is about 3 inches wide, so it's 3 inches wide. I'll go ahead now and measure from my center back of the two. I'll measure 3 inches, and at that point I'll place my bone. Yes, my sewable bone will be placed on that 3 inches point, and I will sew through from the top to the hem of the two, leaving 0.5 inches at the upper part of this two. So I'll sew my Regiline bone like so, leaving 0.5 inches at the upper part of the two. Next, I'll open up my crepe for the lacing bar. I'll open it up like so, and then I will sew my Regiline bone on the 2 inches part that was folded in. Yeah, I'll sew it all through like so. And now I'm done sewing the Regiline bone, and then I'll close up the 2 inches part. I'll close it up and I'll go ahead and place my two. Yes, I'll place it on it like so. Yeah, the center back will actually be placed on the folded part, and then I'll pin it down. Yes, exactly what you're saying. I'll pin it down from the top to the end. And so I'm done pinning. I'll place my wrestling bone on that two net, exactly on that part where I pinned, and I'll sew it through. So I'm done sewing the first bone, and I'll go ahead and place another one just by the side, and I'll also sew through. So all of this is just to give more structure to um, the lacing bar area. So next I measured the width for my eyelet, and then I placed another Regiline bone after measuring the width for the eyelet, and I'll sew through. So I'm done sewing. I'll go ahead now and cover up my lacing bar. So for my back, the one with the zipper, I would first of all turn the neckline. I'm working with two nets for each side, two on the right, two on the left. So I'll turn the neckline with 1/2 inch, and once I'm done turning, I'll flip it over to the other side, and I will sew down the zipper part at the center back. So this is just to keep my two together, so I don't have them all scattered around. So I'm sewing through on the 1/2 inch we left at the center back for the zip. So this is what I just did. So now here is the front yoke, and the next thing I will do now is to attach the back and the front together, shoulder to shoulder. So this is my back, and then I have the front also with me, and then I will attach them together, shoulder to shoulder with 1/2 inch. So now go ahead and pin them down, the front and the back together, and then sew it with 0.5 inches. So after joining the front yoke and the back together, this is what we have. So for the eyelet part, the part that we left open, all you need to do is to fold it in and then run your stitch from the top to the end. Now for the upper part of the two, that's the inbuilt corset at the back, just place a 2 inches crepe fabric underneath the two nets, and then we'll go ahead and place our Regiline bone on the two nets. Now the crepe is the first layer, the two nets is next, and then our boning is on the two nets. Then ensure that when you want to stitch down, you leave the 1 inch for the side seam allowance. Leave the 1 inch for the side seam, and run your stitch on the Regiline bone. Sew it through from the 1 inch to the other end. So now I'm done sewing the Regiline bone. The next thing is I'll flip my crepe over to cover up the Regiline bone that we sewed down. Yes, I'll flip it over like so, and then fold it in and use my pin to hold it down, and I'll go ahead and run my stitch on that part. So this crepe cover up it covers the Regiline bone at the top of the inbuilt corset. So ensure you sew it down. This part is very important so that it gives your two nets more structure. So now I'll go ahead and join all the parts together. So this is my front, this is my inbuilt part for the lacing bar, and this is the center back for the zip. So first I aligned the parts for the lacing bar, that's the inbuilt corset part, side by side together with the front, and then I'll go ahead now and also place the one for the zipper side by side on the front. That's, we have the one for the zipper first, we have the front pattern, and then we have the one for the inbuilt corset. So now I have matched up the three together, and then I'll go ahead and sew the 1 inch we left for the side seam. I'll go ahead and run my, now I'm done joining the three together. I'll trim off the excess that we have. So here is what we have been able to achieve so far. I went ahead to pipe the hem of this transparent corset with a crepe fabric. Just use 2 inches crepe fabric. And all of this I'm doing in this video, you're actually supposed to get it done on your client's body for a perfect fit. So this video is already so long and I wouldn't want it to extend beyond this time. So the next video I will be uploading, I will show us how I finished up the front yoke area and also went ahead to add up my zipper. So thank you for taking your time to watch today's tutorial. Please do well to subscribe to this channel. I'll see you in my next video. Bye.